Let's talk about the music. For the past 3.5 hours, we've been talking to, what I should say, a falling musician, because I'm a performer myself. 26 years of performing, all from 16 until I'm 42. Yes, that's right, I'm 42 years old. And so I feel that she's one of my comrades. Didn't get a chance to meet her, but I'm knowing her now. And all through the past 3.5 hours, we've been talking to friends, family members, and EB, learning more about what EB is. And now we're getting ready to wrap the show up. And I got a few more questions for everyone. April, we didn't get a chance. You still here, April?
I'm on.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we didn't get a chance to talk about her studio time. You did her EB? Well, you kind of did ask that question, or answer that question, if she had any restriction when it comes to her studio with her EB. Did she, and I know she kind of pushed right through it. And anything else that we might have left out from that experience?
I think mainly I would just quickly say that, doing the studio work was one of those really exciting and also very challenging times for her. So she really, she put a lot of effort into it, and sometimes she was in a lot of pain. So kind of like I said before, like there were times that she couldn't do it, or that she would try her best to do it, and we just say, okay, we'll try another day. But there were days that she was able to do things that that we were very surprised by. And she's always, like all of us, I think the thing I learned from her, like all of us, we're all our own worst critics. Mm-hmm. And so, there were things she wished she could do differently, and, she'd do a take we think was just absolutely stunning. And she'd be like, it's not very good. We're like, that was like mind-blowing amazing. And she'd be like, well, I didn't quite do it how I wanted. And, just kind of, what it did to me is it made me realize how similar sometimes we can all be that's one of the things she taught me, is that sometimes we can be, things that we're reaching for. She kept reaching and reaching and reaching. She wanted to keep getting better. She wanted to keep improving. She was always reaching to do more, to be better in her personal life, in her professional life with music and art, in her spiritual life. She was always striving and reaching. And so I guess the last thing I would want to say is just that one of the things she most inspired for me is that she was always trying to live. I remember one time she had quoted me this scripture, and she said, it talked about how these people had rejoiced for blessings that hadn't yet come, but they knew God's promises were sure. So they knew that, like, certain blessings would come, like even if it was in the next life. And I remember her saying that she tried to live life kind of in a celebration in advance of even things that she didn't have right now, like a body that could do everything she wanted to, a voice that could do everything that she wanted to. She tried to kind of live with the celebration and use as much of the voice she did have in kind of a celebration, even in advance of having her voice fully able to do everything she wanted. And just the rest of her life she lived that way. And that to me was just so, I thought about that many times in my own life when things have been hard. And I thought, man, I need to live life a little more of a celebration, because she did it even when things weren't ideal, and she really lived. She really lived. And so that's the main thing that I would want to leave or share, I guess.
Awesome. Okay, Tyler, I got a different question for you. So,
sure.
You were married to her you chased her for a bit. You won her heart. But the thing is, what was her spiritual connection to you that made you want to, that you want to always people to remember her by? What was her most spiritual connection?
The most spiritual connection that I would want people to remember her by is the connection that she had, I would say with me, is altruism. She truly showed real altruism, which is the genuine concern for other people without any regard to self. She had that gift, and I think it's a divine quality. It's not something a lot of us have, but she was able to look past her own problems and not focus on herself, even though she would have been fully justified in focusing on herself. But she would sacrifice herself for the benefit of others, and that's a quality that I think is godlike. And she had it, and it's something that I want everyone to remember her by. And I don't think it'll be hard for people to remember that quality because she showed it so much.
Fantastic.
And that made Taylor a great fit for her, because he shared that as well. I mean, Taylor, the same set of you, and that's why you guys were such a good match.
Thanks, April.
Okay, Kimberly, you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So, here, same thing about you. I mean, you're a close friend to her since probably forever. You probably known Jamie long before these two, even Chris might have known him. So what kind of spiritual connection, or what's one thing you want to lead people to know about Jamie and how much she touched you?
Well, Jamie, like I said, I'd known her ever since I was, born. But I remember, because I was back and forth with a divorced family and also military family, and I came back to Dugway, and I'm this shy little pre-teenager sitting in the corner, and somebody just says, "Here, do you want a hot tamale?" And it was Jamie. And right there, I remembered, it was like, bam, I remembered who she was, and our connection was strong from that point on. She was just always so giving and caring, and nobody else would talk to me, but she did. And she was the kind of person that would always reach out to somebody no matter how she was feeling. just try to be there for them. And that's something that I'll always take with me. And, you know, I'm not LDS like everybody else or like most people here, but she saw past that. She saw the good in me and my soul and my heart. And that's something that we'll forever have, always. And I just can't wait until I get into heaven and give her a hot tamale back.
That's fantastic. All right, Nalvi, are you still with us too?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so is anything that you want to talk about, Jamie, that inspired you? 'Cause I know you have EB, correct?
Yes, I do.
So how did she inspire you to continue on to fight the big battle and not give up? Because what I've been hearing is very hard to do.
She led by example, always. I met her when I was around 14 as well, along with Vanessa. She was my camp counselor as well as Camp Discovery. And she, just listening to her stories about going to BYU and living independently and all the things that she was able to do with her music. And I remember her sharing her first date with Taylor. She didn't name him at the time, but it was a memorable date that she always used to tell that story. And she used to talk about all sorts of things, and just knowing that she could do those things, knowing that she was able to live independently and go to university, made me believe that I could do those things too. And when I got into university, I called her on the phone and I was crying. I was like, Jamie, I can't do this. I don't know why I got in. I can't do this. I can't do it like you can. And she was always very encouraging, and she listened to me and made me feel like I could do anything. And it was just her quiet belief in everyone. If you didn't believe in yourself, she believed in you for enough for both of you, and that I'll never forget, and it's always be a part of me, because having that kind of person in your corner all the time is something that is just very undoubtable, that you will cherish and carry forever. And just having her be just living as an example of what it means to be a good woman, a good wife,